Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are joined by Dr. William Farber of Mercy College, who received an exciting grant from the National Science Foundation that's bettering the lives of veterans. He is joined by Professor Rocco Grassi, who manages this program, and finally, Julius, who is a veteran currently enrolled in the program. We are so pleased to have you all here sitting with the Greenburgh Interns of Summer 2017 with us today, and we were hoping we could begin by each of you discussing the program.
Okay, thank you for that introduction, and thank you for having us. This is an amazing program, not only our Veterans Program, but our educational partnership with our Greenburgh Interns, who are working very hard to help to recruit veterans who are going to go from the military to Mercy College and then eventually become mathematics teachers in our schools throughout the country. This is an exciting grant. It's the only grant of its kind. It's an amazing opportunity for veterans who have an affinity to mathematics to become teachers and to help young people in mathematics. Dr. William Farber, and I wrote the grant last summer, and we're recruiting veterans for next cohort, and we're privileged to have my colleague, Professor Rocco Grassi, who will talk a little bit about his experience in the program, and we have Mr. Julius St. Rose, who is a veteran in our current program. And so, Professor Grassi.
Thank you, Dr. Farber. It's nice to be here with you folks. As a former high school principal, it's kind of nice to be with high school students again, and some of you I know are college students so I'm bridging the gap from my secondary high school career to my higher education career. So thank you for having us here, and it's wonderful to be with you. I look forward to working with you on this project. This is a noble project. As an educator, I viewed it when I came on board with Dr. Farber as an opportunity to teach people how to be teachers. And that's what we're doing. We're preparing the veterans how to become secondary math teachers, okay? So it's wonderful in that aspect, because one of the goals of being a teacher or a principal is to help foster those kinds of skills in others and to encourage others to join the profession. It's doubly rewarding to work with veterans such as Julius and the other veterans we have in the program, which is another cause of mine that is close to my heart, helping people with that transition from the military life to, quote, normal life. And this was a wonderful way to do it. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be working with Dr. Farber and Julius and you guys in the future. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Julius. I'm part of the program. I was in the military for 9.5 years, 5 years as a sergeant. And got out of the military, and I always wanted to teach mathematics. I taught mathematics for a couple of years at different schools. And then my first degree was in mathematics and a BA in mathematics. Then I double majored in financial/actuary science. So hopefully it will be 3 math degrees. And then I got the opportunity from Dr. Farber offering me that chance to make it official as a math teacher. So I jumped to that opportunity. I am currently in another field, but I'm going back to teaching mathematics. And that's what I think is my duty and my calling.
What was your motivation to create a program like this?
I guess that question was directed to me, right? Okay. I'm not only a faculty member of Mercy College, but I'm also a United States Navy veteran. And I actually experienced the journey of when I was separated from and discharged from the Navy. I always had a passion for numbers and for mathematics, and I I decided to study mathematics, first beginning in community college, taking prerequisite courses, almost non-credit courses, and then going into courses like pre-calculus, and then calculus 1, 2, 3, and then the mathematics got better and better for me. And then I decided that because I love people, I wanted to help students, and so I became a teacher. And so I went through this journey, and so it was time to give back. And that's what prompted me to write this grant and to help veterans, become, still serve their community as teachers of mathematics. But that great question, thank you.
Julius, you mentioned that you have taught math in the past. Where did you study in math?
I studied at Brooklyn College. My first degree was in mathematics, a BA in mathematics at Brooklyn College. And is there anything you want to know more about Brooklyn College, or particularly how did I decide to become a teacher?
Where did you teach?
Oh, I taught at a couple of private schools, and it gave me my first opportunity. I think, remember, I was working for Corporate America, and somebody said, like, maybe you can teach at my school for a while. And I immediately quit my job, because I knew my passion. So, and I went into teaching.
Where have you been the most successful in recruiting vets?
I guess that question is directed to me again. Okay. Brooklyn College. I actually built a partnership with the CUNY system. Each college has maybe 300 to 400 veterans as students. But not many of them gravitate to mathematics. Many of them gravitate to the business schools and to social sciences and psychology and sociology. But when I attended a City University of New York Veteran Liaison meeting, I met each of the veteran liaisons from each of the CUNY schools, City College, Brooklyn College, College of Staten Island, there were so many. And so when I met the Brooklyn College liaison, she indicated to me when they were very excited about this program, and she wrote back to me and said, I may have 2 individuals who are math majors and who are graduating from Brooklyn College, one in actuarial science, which is tremendous in mathematics, and the other in pure and applied mathematics. And so I had most success in going to different colleges and seeking out graduates who were veterans and who took advantage of their veterans' educational benefits, and found 5. So that's that's a great question, and that's basically where I got most of my success was from that.
Hi, my question is directed towards Professor Grassi. Can you please describe your role as project manager of this grant?
Sure. Thank you for the question. I actually have a dual role. I work as a project manager, and as such, handle the day-to-day budget, advertising, publicity, production of materials that we need, fielding phone calls, also supporting Dr. Farber with recruitment efforts. We attend presentations and meetings and speak to groups of people about our cause and our recruitment process. That's one end. The other side of my role is to be part of the teaching faculty in the program, which is something I enjoy very, very much. As a teacher of some 45 years, I still want to be a teacher, and I want to be able to work with people and encourage them, as I said earlier, to follow that path, because we need good teachers today. And especially we need good math and science teachers, because as we look at the data nationally, we know that we are in desperate need of not only teachers, but math and science teachers. So my role is twofold. I do some of the day-to-day work, but I also am part of the teaching faculty at Mercy College.
What do you all think is the best thing about working in a classroom setting?
That to you.
I'm going to defer to Julius.
Okay. The best thing about working in a classroom setting, as opposed to what other setting?
Just like the benefits of becoming a teacher in the classroom.
Oh, okay. I think the the fact that you're giving back so much to others. And not only that, you also learn every single day, and it's something that you have for life. It's the one part of the one gift, I would say, that goes on forever. I mean, you could lose your money, you could lose everything else, but education is the one thing that you keep forever.
I want to piggyback on what Julie said. One of the most important things we can do in life is share our gifts with others. And as a teacher, you do that every day. You're able to share part of you, you're able to share part of your knowledge, your experiences with other people, with young people. It's great being in a classroom. Probably the greatest thing about being in a classroom is every day is different. It's not like going to a factory or to an office where you do the same humdrum job on a daily basis. When you walk into a classroom in the morning, pretty much you don't know what you're going to get that day. And it's funny, Dr. Farber and I were talking about that earlier at lunch. That's what's beautiful about the classroom, because every day is different, and it brings different challenges and different rewards from different students every day. So I have this poster in my office. The classroom is a beautiful place. So keep that with you, that thought.
I'd like to say, sort of adjunct that. So Professor Grassi and I have taught the veterans in the first cohort, Julius being part of course, the cohort. And the emphasis, my class was on methods of teaching secondary school mathematics. And the idea of making the subject, making the topic come off the page. How do you make it interesting to students rather than just a bunch of rules and a bunch of memorization of formulas and equations and functions and things, but how do you make it come alive, and how do you make it functionally relevant to the student? What connections does it have with the real world? And as veterans, you could point to so many different aspects of the real world, and even not as veterans. I mean, we see the Tappan Zee Bridge being built, and so the most rigid polygon is the triangle. You wouldn't build a bridge using quadrilaterals. And so these things come alive, they're real, they're relevant, they're functionally relevant, because kids ask that question, what are we ever going to use this for? And so those are the type of questions that need to be answered. And so we really support this process-oriented mathematics.
I'm going to try to add to this a little bit, okay? For me, I really find that I love the challenge about teaching. It's a challenge. And mathematics itself, when you ask somebody, like, why do you like mathematics? Or are you good at mathematics? The first thing somebody said, well, you have a degree in mathematics, you must be really good at mathematics. No. It was a challenge for me. And, I enjoyed the challenge. I enjoyed teaching, so that you could learn from what I struggled with. And this is where I get the aha, and I get the real, you feel so much better about yourself and that you have done something. It's very difficult to find that in most other jobs, that you have done something, you feel satisfied, your soul feels satisfied. So, Mr. Grassi.
I'm smiling because in my classroom I had a sign that's relevant to teaching, and I'll try to paraphrase it. It used to say, every time you raise the self-concept of a student, you raise your own self-concept as a teacher. Which, think about that, how self-rewarding teaching is, because you not only help people and uplift people, you help yourself too. So there's a kind of double payoff.
You guys have talked about how it feels teaching in a classroom and what it's like. What type of values or skills do teachers and people who have served in the military share?
Okay, one thing that help, as a value that is used in both areas is discipline. And mathematics used to be called, they would ask you before, what discipline are you, or what are you disciplined in? Okay, it's not saying like, how do I whip you into believing something, but what habits you're gonna create, or you're gonna perpetuate. And the military offered you that discipline structure that you could carry over to the classroom, in that you create habits. Okay, it's consistency. And another area, I think, which is very valuable is accepting responsibility for your actions. Okay.
I would add to that that the veteran brings a sense of organization. Being organized is so important to students and to teachers. Organization is the key to success. You can see students, you can see their binders. Sometimes they have sections and it's organized, and then you can see other binders that are kind of nondescript. But organization, the veteran brings a sense of maturity, brings a sense of what I mentioned before, of relevance to the subject area. And so I think that a veteran has the experience, life skills, and what Julius mentioned, discipline, to not only the discipline of the subject area, but classroom management skills, and to be able to, approach the classroom in a respectful way, firm but fair.
This question is directed to Professor Grassi. Have you been a program manager for other grants as well?
Yes, I have. In fact, a previous grant that Dr. Farber wrote was called Race to the Top, whereby we were recruiting students to become math teachers again, non-veteran students. So I worked on that grant with, if I may call him Bill, for maybe 3 years, and did similar kind of work with him. But as a school principal, and as I said to you, I was a principal for many years, you're required to manage many projects. So part of my training as a principal was applicable to my work here at Mercy College as a program manager for not only this grant but other grants. And some of the skills that Dr. Farber mentioned are critical to that. Organization, accepting responsibility, discipline, order, etc. So those skills are transferable. And the thought came to my mind when Dr. Farber and Julius were speaking about that, because just those very skills and attributes that they listed, I see them here in the interns in front of me. But as a person who visits a lot of high schools on a weekly basis, in another role that I play, I don't see those attributes in many of the students I work with in many of the high schools I go to. And they're very much needed. So we're looking to people like Julius and the other vets to try to bring that to our students in the high schools that they work in.
If someone is either a veteran or in contact with one, how should they reach out to you to find about the program?
Well, this is the flyer that sort of encapsulates all of the requirements, and they can reach out to either me or Professor Grassi by way of email. As a shout out, it's wfarber, WFARBER at mercy.edu, or they can call me at 914-674-7675. And so then we have a conversation. I request transcripts, informal student transcripts for now, just to see how many mathematics credits, if they have conferred their degree, the BA or BS degree, and then ascertain whether they were in the military. Okay, so that's the outreach. Good question.
This question is directed to Dr. Farber. What do you see as a future for your veterans?
Terrific question. So the question I'll put into two parts. It's first the short-term goals and then the longitudinal goals. Short-term goals would be for our cohort, our 5 veterans that we have now, to be able to complete the program, which is rigorous. It's a 14-month program, and they just completed 6 graduate credits. It's a journey, and once they've completed the program and have taken all the necessary requisite certification examinations, then they become teachers in the secondary schools. Secondary schools are defined as grades 7 through grades 12. So that's either the upper part of middle school and, of course, high school. So the short term is for them to become teachers and hopefully to have them become teachers as a career. The long-term goals is something we really haven't spoken about, is that we'd love to take this program and consider these level of success that the program meets the goals, and then from there, hopefully regularize the program and, have National Science Foundation realize how valuable the veteran is to education and continue the program and get funding to continue and regularize the program. So that's a great question.
I would like to repeat the question to Dr. Grassi. What do you see as a future for the veterans in the program also?
Well, a future goal I see for the vets is that they obtain a degree, enter the field of education, are satisfied with what they've accomplished, and become value added to our school system and school systems in our area. As I said before, we need good teachers in our country. We need good teachers in Westchester County. We need good teachers in the Bronx, New York, in Brooklyn, in Queens. So my hope is that the graduates from our program will become highly effective teachers and bring their knowledge and skills and person to many students out there. In addition, I'd like to see, as Dr. Farber said, I'd like to see us grow the program exponentially to the best of our degree and increase the number of veterans we bring into the program so that we're able to graduate many more effective teachers, people who have a love of teaching and a love of students and who want to make the world a better place, because ultimately that's what teaching is about.
How do you measure the progress of the participants in your program?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Is that a question directed at me? Okay, can you repeat that,
How
please?
do you measure the progress of the participants in your program?
The progress of the program, you're saying?
The participants, like how the veterans are doing in the classroom environment.
Okay, so it's twofold again. There are two major components of the program. There's the coursework, which is 36 credits, graduate credits, and those credits are taught by professors at Mercy College. And in order to monitor progress, of course, that is monitored by the course requirements, and if the course requirements are fulfilled, and midterm and finals and course grades, et cetera. So we see, the progress of veterans through their coursework. The other is, and I know that Professor Grassi mentioned his role as project manager, but even beyond his role as project manager, to have Professor Grassi as project manager, I mean, these veterans are doing their internship for 1 year in the Yonkers high needs schools, starting in September. And so what does that mean? That means that when a person wants to go into education, and there may be some of you out there that are thinking about teaching. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking some kind of teaching curriculum and then doing what they call student teaching. And student teaching encompasses 6 weeks of teaching in, for example, a middle school, and 7 weeks of teaching, for example, in a high school. However, this program, we have emulated a clinical model where the veterans are like doctors, interns in a hospital, where they are immersed in a school for 1 year. It's not 6 weeks here and 7 weeks there. It's 1 year in the Yonkers schools. They become teachers under the tutelage of a master teacher at Yonkers, what we call the mentor teacher. And so the other way we monitor their progress is not only the theoretical and what goes on in the classroom as far as the coursework is concerned, but also the practical. Because we get reports from the mentor teacher, from the principal of that school, and as I said, Professor Grassi, who was a principal in the Yonkers schools, really knows the landscape of Yonkers. And so we were able to place these veterans into schools that were compatible to their needs, and so we're looking forward to see how they do as teachers. And so, it's still, it's formative. That assessment is formative assessment, and to be able to give you a summative would be at the end of the program. Great question, though.
This question is aimed for all of you guys because you may have different perspectives. What is the importance of this program?
Julius, you want to go first? Yeah. For me, the importance of this program is an opportunity to give back to the community. As a veteran, I really believe we could make a difference. I really think we were given certain skills that I think every young person should have, and it's an opportunity to do that. Dr. Faber?
Yeah, right.
Well, the benefits are many. First, we give veterans an opportunity to transition from military life to a different kind of life. We add to our teaching ranks. We benefit the students who are fortunate enough to be in their care. We're growing our teaching population. There are many benefits that I don't think we can even realize yet because they're out there to be realized, and they will materialize.
The word that's so important in that question is the word importance. It's abstract. that word. The best way I could possibly answer that is amongst the ranks of the veterans, we have veterans coming back from the Middle East doing multiple tours of duty in Iraq and in Afghanistan. They're trying to adjust. There's so many homeless veterans. The suicide rate is so high for veterans. The importance, in my opinion, of this program, the overall importance, would be for these veterans to be role models. And the key in what Julia stated, the key is education. And so if veterans can gravitate to any area, but gravitate to college, start community college, then four-year college, so they can obtain a vocation and avocation in any area, I think that this would be the perfect role model and show the importance of education and how what Professor Grassi said, and how it benefits the veteran in a very positive way. So we're helping and we're still serving. Good question.
This is for Dr. Farber. Do you look to expand the program to other fields of education within STEM for the veterans?
Great question. We would love to expand the program. I am going to be attending in a few days a National Science Foundation Summit, and I'm going to be reporting what we have done so far with our program, and amongst this summit is going to be 1,000 educators from all over the country. And there's my opportunity to pass out some flyers to these people, because they're college professors, mostly college professors, and some of their interns are going to be there. It's a big extravaganza. However, out of 1,000 recipients of these transition to STEM grants, Mercy College is the only college that is focusing on veterans. And so I think that if we show success, again, coupling with that question about importance, if we show success in the program, which I'm very confident that we will, and recruit more veterans for next cohort, I think that we could certainly point out, well, if it works for math, it will work for science, it will work for technology, and it'll work for engineering, for sure, if it works for math, because those are very tangential. Okay, great question.
Hello, so my question is directed towards Julius, but feel free to chime in if you have any other answers. But what benefits do you think this program can provide for students in high-need schools?
The benefits are tremendous. High-need school, this is a particular area where I really think veterans are needed as teachers. Like I said before, I mentioned discipline before. And not only discipline, but as a teacher, the selfless service that veterans offer and veterans are used to need to be experienced in these schools.
Okay. High-need schools, so what is that? You know, that's another thing that we have to decide as what's an operational definition for high-need schools. Well, there is a definition of high-need schools according to each state. So these are schools that have a high level of poverty, schools that are socioeconomically disadvantaged, schools that have high level of diverse learners, special education. All of these components make up this construct of high-need schools. And as Julius mentioned, classroom management, role models. Many of these kids in the high-need schools need role models. They don't necessarily have the role models that that you might envision them having. Some of them are from families, broken families. Some of them are from, don't even have a family. And some of these kids come from, group homes. And so when the veteran faces these kids every day, this is they're a role model. They serve as a role model to these kids, and that's very important because when kids respect and look up to their teacher as a role model, and the veterans have this discipline and this experience and all of that, I think that the high-needs student can sort of break out of what the rut that they're in and maybe become, wow, I'm interested in that. Maybe I can do that too. But that's a great question.
Another thing I'd want to add, okay, veterans come from all different backgrounds. Same thing with the high needs schools, okay, and we are used to dealing with different cultures, among veterans, and you're going to find the same thing in the high needs schools, and I really think we could give our experience in these areas.
Do you have any plans or hopes in the future of expanding the program to other areas, either also in New York or around the country?
Was that directed at me? I was speaking to, when I met Julius, when we met Julius at the train, picked him up, and we had a little conversation, I planned for the second cohort to bring the first cohort in. I teach a course, it's called the Colloquium, and it's issues and problems that the veterans are experiencing in the internship. So they come back with, issues and problems. And so I want to bring back, I want to recycle our first cohort with the second cohort. And then, by the way, when the actual physicality of the program is ended, after the 14 months, they pass all the exams, they become teachers, we help them get jobs in the high-needs schools anywhere in the United States where they want to be. We don't let them go yet. We have an online professor who is going to monitor their progress, and this also goes with that question of monitoring, even beyond the program limitation. And so we want to see how they do. We want to introduce ourselves to the principal, to the assistant principal of the school, so we stay with them. And if possible, we can make intervisitations to that school. And if it's not possible, then technology and Skype and all of that. That is one aspect of possibly spreading the word and touching on the notion of expansion. So expanding we'd love to have a college of veterans. That would be just wonderful. And only veterans, a high school where only veterans are the teachers. We would love to have that. That's sort of a dream, but these things are possible. I mean, this grant was a dream. And I quite frankly didn't know if the National Science Foundation, which is extremely challenging to get money from, I didn't know if they would fund this. And when I heard that we received the award of $1.16 million, I said, now what? So it was wonderful. So I think that National Science Foundation wants to see how these veterans do, and then we'll take it from there. But that's a good question.
This question is directed to Dr. Farber. What benefits do students have from having a teacher with military experience?
Well, I'll answer that question briefly, and then I'll let my colleagues go on with that. Military experience. First of all, the veteran brings something unique. When a person goes into the military, it's a definite culture shock. On I myself, I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York, and then, all of a sudden, I'm a kid just graduating high school, and I'm on Fordham Road, and I said, let me join the Navy. And so I joined the Navy. And then they shipped me out to this place called boot camp, and a whole bunch of people yelling at me and everything, and yelling at everybody, and getting us in line, and having us be in a uniform, everybody getting, now I had the same haircut in boot camp that I have now. So first of all, they unify everybody, and they want everybody to be unified, all for one, one for all. I think that brings something to the classroom also. And then after basic training, you get shipped out somewhere, probably to war, combat, wherever there's a trouble spot in the world. And so I think that it's coping, it's learning to interface with other people. It's learning, Julius talked about cultures. I was aboard a ship that's known as a destroyer, where there's 295 men on the ship. I never met anybody really from Mississippi. I met people from all around the world that I had to live with and breed with and be able to have my back. And so this is something that is just difficult to describe, but I think that brings something into the classroom in this sense of unity and the sense of a classroom environment that is non-threatening, where students are able to ask questions like you're asking now, because there's no such thing as a stupid, as a matter of fact, the stupid questions are sometimes the best questions. So the thing is that it's a student-centered environment that we want to promote, and more than just lecture, it's concentrating on the student. So I think that the veteran brings a lot to the table with that experience of the military. You want to add to that, Julius?
I just want to say already, I've spoken about discipline and everything else, but something about the military. The easiest answer, well, in the Army, was for me, that was it. No matter what, we make things happen. We're used to that. Okay, so we face challenges, and it's very easy for us to welcome a challenge. So as a teacher, whatever the challenges they may be in the classroom, we welcome that. The other thing, you always ask, like, where have you served as a veteran? Okay, the important word there is serve and service. We aim to serve. This is part of our duty. Okay, we these words like service, duty, loyalty, discipline, these are words that you can use every day in the classroom. Okay, so and that's pretty obvious for me. It's the best place to bring these values.
Julius spoke about challenges. Well, the classroom is filled with challenges, as the military is filled with challenges. And I think one of the strengths that the veterans will bring is the ability to deal with challenges and manage the stress that exists in some of our classrooms today. It's very stressful working in a high school classroom in a high-need school. It's a very difficult job. You have anywhere from 25 to 30 students who present all kinds of learning challenges, emotional challenges, personal challenges, and that lends for a great deal of stress on the teacher. So I think some of the life lessons that the veterans have learned in the military relative to dealing with stress and challenges and pressure are applicable to the classroom. And I think those attributes will serve them well in the classroom.
This question is directed towards Mr. Julius St. Rose. Would you say that there's a direct correlation between mathematics and your service in the military?
I believe there's a direct correlation between mathematics and discipline. And you said mathematics?
Yes.
Okay, mathematics. Let me give a more direct correlation than mathematics. Mathematics is everything, okay? It's a one subject that if you have strong background in mathematics, you can branch out into any area. Okay, so it's not only the correlation to discipline, to career. Okay, there's a direct correlation between mathematics and success. That's what I would say.
Do you view this program as a benefit for veterans?
Me? I wouldn't be there if I did. That's I'm going to give a biased answer, obviously, but I think it's the best thing that ever happened to me for a long, long while. You know, and you know, I'm wondering why there are not more programs like this. So many veterans, we usually, especially in New York, have this negative attitude towards veterans. And we don't know, I don't think we know enough about the challenges we faced before and how we overcome these challenges. And this type of programs needs to be out there to really promote the veteran.
I think it's a benefit to veterans, but not one without sacrifice, because these gentlemen and ladies, when we get some ladies on board, are going to work very, very hard, have been and will continue to work very, very hard to attain the degree through their internship and then the 2 years that they have to serve in a high-needs school. Like the military, service, challenges, sacrifice. And here's just one more example of how our vets like Julius will do that and be value-added in another capacity.
This question is directed at Dr. Farber. What kind of in-school experience do the veterans receive?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
I said, what kind of in-school experience do the veterans receive?
In school? In school. Okay. Good question. So the cornerstone of this program is this clinical internship that is going to begin when school begins, and I guess all of you know that school begins around September or so, right? Right after, okay, so right after Labor Day. It's a year of being immersed in particular, for these veterans in the Yonkers schools, and we chose the Yonkers schools because Yonkers has a long history of being an educational partner to Mercy College, and Yonkers schools has many high-need schools within their school district. So it's the perfect venue for the veteran to be able to first observe in the classroom and then segue into maybe taking a group, tutoring the group, and then eventually taking over a class or 2 classes or 3 classes, and being responsible for creating lesson plans for that class and being responsible for delivering those lesson plans. And so the summer experience encompasses more field work hours in the Yonkers schools, to get their feet wet with the schools and to become familiarized with the administration, with the assistant principal and principal and their mentor teachers. So the in-school experience is invaluable because on the resume, when they are ready to embark on a regular job and a paid job in the schools, they could show that they have a year of experience in a high-need school, not as a student teacher, but as an intern. And that's very, very valuable. So they become extremely marketable. That's a great question, by the way.
This question is directed to Professor Grassi. Are there similar programs around the country?
I'm sure there are similar programs around the country, but not programs that cater to solely veterans. As Dr. Farber said earlier, Mercy College is the only college that is conducting a program of this nature that's earmarked solely for veterans. Hopefully there will be more, but nothing of this exact nature that I know of.
If I may, there is an organization called Troops to Teachers. It's a national organization. Unfortunately, the Troops to Teachers organization, they're going to be losing funds. So they were an organization that offered 9 to 12 credits for veterans in all areas. However, because this program is all-encompassing, it's a full ride. It's $32,800 that every veteran is going to get that covers the tuition. And I don't know of another program that does this, except if a veteran still has educational benefits coming to them from the Veterans Administration, then they can take a program anywhere in any area. Now, there are veterans who have this benefit coming to them, but they could still take this program and put the veterans' benefits in abeyance, because in the education world, the more education you have, the more money you make. So teachers, for example, come in with an undergraduate degree, make a certain amount of money. They come in with a master's degree, they make considerably more money. They come in with 30 credits above the master's degree, they make even more money. So the more education, the more funds, which is great. Yeah.
This question's for Dr. Farber. What inspired you to help veterans transition from being in the armed service or the armed forces to serving in high need schools?
Well, my family, my immediate family, my brothers were in the Navy, my father was in the Navy, all my uncles were in the Navy. One uncle was in the Army, no offense. So I kind of grew up with hearing all of these stories about military and all of these, war stories and all of that. What inspired me is my own journey. I guess it was a projection where I, experienced that. I went overseas and at a tumultuous time in the 60s where there was a war going on, and, came back and, what do I do with my life now? So I discovered community college. And so to answer your question, it was my own journey that really inspired me to say, well, why can't, other people do this? This will be great for other people. Like, here I am, I'm a professor at Mercy College now. This is fantastic. And so, why can't other veterans take that journey as well? And so I kind of said, it's time to give back. Let me write this grant, this 65-page grant proposal and send it to National Science Foundation and see what they think. But that's a great question.
What made you want to be a part of this program?
That's got to be for you.
It's for you.
That's for me? Yes. Oh, wow. Well, I didn't have a choice. I was going into my third career. I've come from the military and teaching at some private schools, mathematics and even social studies, and then going into the field of actuary, which is all about the money. And then Dr. Farber came around, and he decided, I will go after my dream. And it's my dream to, I mentioned it before, revolutionize the way we teach mathematics, introduce mathematics as a language. That's my dream. Okay, and this is the opportunity, to go after my dream to the fullest, and I think there's no other way.
So this question is for those of you who served in the military. Where did you serve?
Okay. I was there first. I served in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, 4.5 years in Germany, 1 year in South Korea, did my AIT, in Virginia, and not boot camp, basic training for the Army, basic training in Fort Jackson, North Carolina.
It's my turn. I was all over the world. Being in the Navy, I was in a fighter squadron my first year, working with F-4 Phantom jets and F-8 Crusader jets, and then I got, as they say, shipped out on a destroyer. I was on the USS Warrington, and we was in the South Pacific and the Mediterranean and in the Black Sea. And then I was transferred to another destroyer escort at USS Paul. And so I served most of my time like out at sea. I didn't even like the sea, but I served out at sea, and it was all over the world, anywhere there was a conflict, which is most of the world. But great question.
I believe that concludes our interview. Oh, I'm sorry, one more question.
Yeah, I have one more question. So, Dr. Farber, earlier you mentioned how you would like to, in the future, expand the program to other STEM subjects, and also that you want to help fill the roles in schools that there's a lack of teachers for, such as math and science. Do you see yourself in the future expanding in the program outside of STEM into other programs that fit that, such as architecture or art?
Okay. First of all, you may have heard that the A is now added to STEM and now is called STEAM, right? So it's science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. And so really, I mean, there's so much mathematics that's embedded into the art world with regard to perspective and framing and exhibits and everything else. Also, you mentioned another area, architecture. I mean, we can just look at the Tappan Zee Bridge and see the beauty of architecture there and the beauty of mathematics come alive with regard to architecture, which is, I mean, you cannot get away with not taking Calc 1, 2, and 3, advanced calc, differential equations, and complex variables don't run away. And so these are subject areas that an architect, in order to become an architect and certified as an architect, I would love to promote the STEM fields. And the STEM fields, you cannot have the STEM fields without literacy. As I think I mentioned that earlier today in our meeting, reading, writing, listening, speaking, and viewing cannot have meaningful problem solving without literacy skills. Cannot get a grant like this without writing it effectively. You cannot get scientific experimentation without writing up the experiment without literacy skills. So I would say that I would love for my colleagues in language arts, my colleagues in history and social studies, my colleagues in languages to be able to look at this and say, we can do that too, and maybe we can do it with veterans, because there are a lot of veterans that they're not all interested in mathematics. Some are interested in other areas. And I also want to say, I know that we're putting closure on this, that in order to expand the program, I want to really thank you, Greenburgh interns, for your participation, your your kindness and your dedication and diligence to, to even sit here and be part of this, not only asking those great questions, but actually, going out and trying to get a veteran, because it's because of you. If, and even if you try to get a veteran and you don't, I mean, I've tried so hard, and there were times that I didn't. I couldn't always get Julius's into the program, but your efforts are so appreciated, because you're like our Army. Isn't that right, Professor Grassi? Yeah. You're in the Army now, okay? So this is the Army.
Not the Navy.
Not the Navy. I had enough of the Navy. It's definitely the Army, and he's the sergeant. And so we really appreciate what you're doing, as young people. And like Paul Feiner said, if you guys could get 2 veterans before the end of the, no pressure, but if you can get us 2 veterans by the end of this summer, wow, that would be. And so we're here to support you as well, because I know you're young people, you're going to need letters, and we can write, and we can, give you letters of recommendation and everything like that. I just wanted to close in appreciation and gratitude for your service, and you coming to Greenburgh, and the town of Greenburgh, and really, doing your internship here. More than just an entry on your resume, this is like extremely soulful that you're doing this, and we greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Before we end, do you guys have anything else you want to add?
I just want to say thank you also, and also share how encouraged I am and inspired I am by you and your efforts, and as Dr. Farber said, and your willingness to take on this charge and help us in our efforts. So thank you very much. We do appreciate everything you're doing for us, and of course, for vets like Julius.
On behalf of all the summer interns here, we'd like to thank you, Dr. Farber, Mr. Julius, and Professor Grassi for coming to speak with us today.
It's our pleasure.